Alrighty, hello everyone. Welcome to the third session of the day. I'm very excited for this session. We're obviously having a very sort of data-driven day today. I love the sessions where we can learn how to access data. I think it's quite a big stumbling block for anyone using open source tools that it's really important to be able to, please excuse the thunder in the background, to be able to use really good quality data and to be able to access that. So I think, it's been really great with the previous session and this session to understand how to get different data. So I would really just like to welcome Etienne, who is going to be taking us through using OSM data, so that's OpenStreetMap data, in QGIS, and he's going to show us all the tips and tricks. So I'm going to hand over to him. Welcome.
Hi, Amy. Hi, Victoria. Thanks a lot for organizing this QGIS Open Day. And yeah, indeed, we saw quite a few tweets about the map challenge this November, and we will see the next session that you will organize like in a few hours. We saw quite a few maps about OpenStreetMap, and one day was dedicated to use OpenStreetMap data for this map challenge. So we saw quite a few maps, and some people wondering okay, let's use OpenStreetMap data and how we can do it. So I'm going to give an overview about a few techniques, some people are interested into raster, some into vectors, etc. So I'm going to give an overview of a few technologies and tips. Let me share my screen.
Brilliant stuff. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
Alrighty, I can see your slides.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we can use vector, raster, database, Docker. So we can see which one we can use in which situation. So quickly, I'm working for Freeze, a French open source company. We do open source mainly. So we do core contributions in QGIS on the server side mainly. We use QGIS desktop, server, PostgreSQL, and we have our own open source solution for publishing a QGIS project on the web. It's called LISMAP. I should make a session about LISMAP on the next QGIS Friday. I think it's a good idea.
Yes, please. I would love that.
Okay, but
I'm going to hold you to that.
Yeah, we already got one 2 months ago, I think, and Tim was doing it. It was a user case.
Brilliant.
Yeah, we do development, server hosting about GIS, QGIS, etc. So quickly, on one hand, we have QGIS. I'm not going to present what is QGIS during this session. And we have on the other hand, we have OpenStreetMap. So OpenStreetMap, it's a vector database with an open source license, ODBL. And it's worldwide coverage. So everywhere in the world, we have OpenStreetMap data, and it can be very precise. It can be on any topics. It can be on land use to opening hours on shops, accessibility for wheelchair. And we have many topics covered in OpenStreetMap. Some people are interested into bicycle path, hiking, etc. So quickly, I need to show you how OpenStreetMap works, like the data model. So in OpenStreetMap, we have nodes, way, and relation. And in GIS, in QGIS, we have point, line, and polygons. So it's kind of an issue because we have different primitive objects. An OSM way can be a GIS line or GIS polygon according to its OSM tags, because if you tag a building, it will be a polygon in QGIS, but if you tag an OSM way, like if you had just a highway, it's also a way in OSM, but it's a line in GIS. So the geometry will change according to its key and values in OpenStreetMap. And also in OSM, we have the concept of relation, and it can be a point, line, multi-line string, multi-polygons, mixed geometry. It's very mixed. There is a lot of things in OpenStreetMap relation. So when you go to QGIS, you may or not have different geometries for OSM relation. Another difference is the attributes. In GIS, you have the concept of layer, which have one or many fields defining all features in this specific layer. In OpenStreetMap, the layer does not exist. Like each feature is very individual and has its own fields. You can describe one bakery, just like shop equal bakery and the name, and the bakery, like the next street, maybe it will have like telephone number. Does it have pastry or not? Like it may be well described compared to the other one. So the attributes is very, very different in OSM. So therefore, OSM data in QGIS will be different from raw OSM data. And there are a few questions that we can wonder. So do you need to have up-to-date OSM data? Like some people will need very fresh OSM data because you have edits on the OSM database every second. So do you need like fresh data from this night? Or you don't mind and you can have data from 6 months ago? Do you need to work with small extent or big extent? Like then we can wonder like what is small extent and big extent. Like it's mainly like it's very important when you use an API. Like can you query over a village or a continent? The density of data as well is very different in OSM. Like you have some very well mapped area in Europe or in a few places, and you might go in a country where the density of OSM data is very low. So it's easy to query everything from a country, but you can't query all the OSM data from a country in Europe, for instance. Do you need OSM metadata such as contributor, change set, timestamp if you want to make some analysis about like is this area active on OSM, etc.? Do you need data designed for display or analysis or routing or geocoding? And do you need all OSM keys and values? Sometimes you just need like basic OSM keys, such as the name, the kind of feature. But then if you have in OSM a lot of attributes, you may not find them in QGIS easily. So there isn't a single answer, unfortunately. There are quite a few things, which is possible. So first, with QGIS only, if you want a raster, you can use the browser. In QGIS, you have already a default entry in the QGIS browser. It's called OpenStreetMap. It loads the Mapnik style as a raster. It's not vector data. It's only a raster layer. With QGIS only, you might use some online tools to download like some data, like in a GIS format, like such as shapefile, geopackage. So you can use, for instance, download.geofabric.de. It's one of the most famous one. There are plenty of other websites which like transform OSM data into a GIS format. This one, datawax.com, it's for France and also other countries. They provide a QGIS style. It's hosted on GitHub, and that's a screenshot on the right. So you see, it's coming with a nice style like buildings, roads, transportation. So everything is included in the zip. And there are other websites. With QGIS only, you can also download an OSM XML file or PBF file. It's like the raw OSM data. It's using OGR in the background. And you have as well different websites where you can download these data sets. Again, geofabric.de is one of the most famous ones. Download.openstreetmap.fr/extracts, and again, some other websites. But you might have an issue. It's when you want some specific keys in your dataset. By default, with QGIS, it will load a lot of keys, a lot of OSM keys into the column called other tags. This is called an HStore field. So you have a lot of keys combined in a single field. You see here you have denotation, landmark, genus, Andazonia, etc. In QGIS, since QGIS 3.6 now, you have a QGIS processing algorithm called explored HStore field. So, basically it will take your input layer, you can then specify your HStore field, and it will explode it into multiple columns, one column per key found in your OpenStreetMap dataset. That's quite convenient. You can also use QGIS expression. If you start typing HStore in your QGIS expression builder, you can find HStore to map. So it will returns you an array where you can select like specific keys in your HStore field. You can use it then for selection, labeling, etc. Then you can use some QGIS plugins. So you see the list is quite long, like nearly 1,000 plugins right now on the QGIS plugin manager. So we will see a few of them. The first one I wanted to talk about is Quick Map Services. It's a convenient plugin to load raster data into QGIS. So it's using online resources. So don't forget to go in your settings, more services, and then the get contributed pack to enable a lot of base maps. So you'll find this very long list, and then you can use, like right now on the GIF, it's using the Stamen one. It's quite a nice style, watercolor. You can find different OSM base maps using different styles. QuickOSM plugin. This one is to download the data on the fly. It's vector data. So it's making requests to the Overpass-API, very similar to Overpass Turbo. Overpass Turbo is the website where it's querying Overpass-API in the background. So yeah, Overpass-API it's a server to where you can query OSM data. You can specify like what do you want to query, where, the radius, different keys and values. Recently, we have released QuickOSM 2.0.0, and it has a lot of new features. So QuickOSM is targeting like both non-OSM contributors where you don't know exactly like which key and which value you want. Let's say you want some bakeries. And also OSM Overpass API experts when you know how to write Overpass queries using OQL language, for instance. And also it's doing some magic for you in the background. So before I was just talking about the HStore field in QGIS, where you need to use the QGIS processing algorithm to explode it. So QuickOSM is doing it in the background for you, removing the HStore field and just making everything nice. But QuickOSM is using an API. It's using Overpass, so it's limited for the amount of data that you want to download. So you can't download a full country, for instance. So let's make an overview of this new version that we have released. First, we have the quick query. So now you can search in your native language. So here I'm French, so I could write boulangerie in French, bakery in English, Bäckerei in German. Sorry, I don't speak German. But then it's translated into shop equal bakery in OSM. So this is done for you automatically. And we also added the support of the multi-key value support, and you have two operators like AND and OR, so you can make some more complex queries. That's an example, like French people, you know, they like baguette and cheese. So I wanted to find boulangerie, so shop equal bakery, and I also wanted to find where I could find cheese. So I could start typing as well, or shop equal bakery, cheese, sorry. Then I can specify the name of the city where I want to look for data. And there are quite a few options below, etc., for more experts. Map presets. This one is very interesting. it's to download many layers, many OSM objects with a QGIS symbology at the same time with 2 clicks. So for now, we are only providing one single map preset, the urban one. But if you enable this map preset, it will download in the background like automatically buildings and roads, and you will have a basic urban map style, like showing you with different map scale, the length of the width of the road, etc., will match your map scale. So everything is done in the background. So we basically want some contribution about map presets. So we can imagine having a bicycle map where you can double click on it and having bicycle path, bicycle tracks, land use, and shops and parking for bicycles, everything in a map presets. So disclaimer, right? Sorry, I'm right now writing the documentation how to contribute for the map preset. It has not been very clear before, so I'm just busy writing it. So let's come back on the documentation in a few days about it.
Alrighty. Can I interrupt you with a couple of questions?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Awesome. So there are a couple of comments. There's one from Home ECD.
Okay.
Or Home CD, I'm not sure. Yes, please to the LizMap suggestion.
Okay.
Alrighty then.
Sure. We will do.
So hi Raymond. So Raymond says, how is it translated?
It's translated using the QuickOSM and Vespucci presets. So if you want to contribute to these translations, there is a GitHub repository where these XML files are stored, and they are common for, GeoSM, I think, started these XML files, and then the Vespucci also wanted these files. I'm not sure exactly, but there is a GitHub repository about GeoSM and Vespucci repository. They share these XML files, and there are translations in these XML files. And we are using these XML files as well in QuickOSM now to have a command file. Like it was useless to rewrite these XML files. So if you want to contribute, you can go in on this GitHub repository. I think the link is not in the presentation, but I can share the link in the chat after, or yeah.
Alrighty, so Anita just says the auto translation is really cool. Glad to know about the HStore tool. Excited to use. Mafuza, says that he can translate into Zulu, which would be awesome. Sawubona. And then Raymond says, "Oh, thanks, he missed that." Alrighty, so let's continue.
Sure. Map presets. So I'm busy writing the documentation, but hopefully in a few weeks or months, like when the documentation will be there, and we will have some contributions about like having some different map presets. That would be very nice. We can also use QuickOSM in processing. I'm not sure if you know about this tool in QGIS. You have the processing toolbox and modeler, where you can like make some different inputs and algorithms and outputs. So in this example, I'm downloading fire hydrants, reprojecting into meters, then buffering my fire hydrants like 100 meters, and then I can apply a QGIS style. So the query is stored into QGIS, the QGIS model. So then when I want to use my model, I just need to specify the extent, and everything is done in the background thanks to the processing framework and QuickOSM plugin in the background. Local OSM file, that's when you want to open you have a local OSM file on your computer, and you can use QuickOSM to also explode your HStore field thanks to the QuickOSM algorithm in the background, or you can specify some tags. It's still a kind of work in progress for this part. That's convenient because when you want to use, I mean, a lot of data, you can't use the Overpass API because you might have a limitation from the API. Some quick tips in QuickOSM. You can now right-click on a layer made by QuickOSM, and you will find a button like reload the query to get the latest update from OSM. So as I said, you have commits on OSM every second. So if you have a QuickOSM layer made 1 month ago, for instance, if the query is still available, you can right-click on it and reload the query in a new file, so you can have some fresh data from OpenStreetMap. You can query many places at the same time if you want, using semicolon. You can have default actions provided in the QGIS attribute table. So if you right-click on a feature or in the attribute table, QuickOSM will scan every attribute, and if you have a website available, you can open it. If you want to edit, like if there is a typo on the name, you can right-click on the feature and ask to open the feature in GeoSM, for instance, or user default editor. So you can edit the feature in OpenStreetMap database, and then you can, if you want, use again, reload the query in a new file. So you'll have your typo, fix it in the OpenStreetMap database. So yeah, there is a full changelog for QuickOSM 2.0.0. It was a lot of new features, and I got some nice feedbacks about it. Yeah. Also, history of queries, adoption to get metadata from OSM, such as author, timestamp. Yeah, a boost of performance. So this was only available in QGIS 3.16. Geocoding, that's new in QGIS 3.20. No more plugin required. Before you could have a plugin in QGIS, but now since QGIS 3.20, it's included by default because the QGIS.org could set up nominateam.qgis.org. So you can have a geocoding tool in the processing toolbox if you have a vector layer with some address, for instance. And also it has been included in the QGIS locator bar, so you can just start writing your address without any plugin, and it will zoom on the map. That's also new in QGIS 3.20. If you want to do some routing, there is a plugin called ORS Tools. It's using an online API. You can choose some different providers. So this one is using Open Route Service. You can define some points and some options. So it's based on OpenStreetMap data. And you can also do some isochrones or matrix calculations. Then if you want to have a lot of data and you want to store it in a database, there is this wiki page on the OpenStreetMap.org wiki. There is this nice table showing you different schema or different tools used to store OSM data. So you can find OSM2 PGSQL. This one is the most famous one, and you can see if it's updatable or not. If it's like, does it stores HStore columns? What is the main purpose of this tool? Like, is it for rendering or analysis? So mainly it's OSM2 PGSQL. This one is very old, but very used. And also you have ImpOSM, but there is just one, version 3 is updatable now. And this one is very nice ImpOSM because now you have different layers for different features. Like if you want land use or shops, it can be in 2 different layers in your PostGIS database. Database with Docker. I'm not going to explain what is Docker. It's quite interesting technology, but I'm going to talk about Docker OSM. So Docker OSM basically is a Docker Compose project. So it's using a PostgreSQL container, ImpOSM container, and OSM update to download OSM diff files. The workflow is quite easy. You drop a PBF file in a folder where Docker OSM is installed. You drop the area of interest for clipping. Then you just have a small configuration in the env file. Then you write make run, and that's it. You have your PostGIS database up to date. You can specify some different mapping scheme if you want. And the nice thing is that this database is updated automatically every 2 minutes. It's done in the background with Docker. There is a Docker container downloading files. By default, it's 2 minutes, but you can change it, of course, if you want every day, every week. That's possible. But then the diff is applied on the database, so you are sure that you have the latest data from OpenStreetMap. And then you can specify some SQL triggers or views if you want. And you have some small layer styles included, like QGIS QML file included into the database, but just a few. Vector tiles, that's new in QGIS 3.14. And you got a presentation last month from Adam Lazar, the last QGIS Open Day in October. So I think you should see his video. He's going to explain better than me about vector tiles with OSM data. So yeah, that was an overview about how to use OSM data in QGIS. Yeah, as I said, it's just a subset of capabilities. There are other plugins, other ways, other technologies. But that's it.
Alrighty, so there are a couple of questions so far. The first one is again from Home CD. Is support for OSM available?
Support for OSM, sorry?
Yeah, that was just the question. Is support for QuickOSM available?
H support?
Sorry. Is support for QuickOSM available?
Sorry, I don't see what what is, yeah. Maybe I'm missing a very basic thing. I'm not sure exactly.
That's right. I'll move on to the next question. Maybe we'll come back to that. So
I can find again OCD.
So Raj Kumar
Okay.
in our the live comments asks, I just use OSM downloader and use that in as a QGIS layer or export it to another format. Is there another user method to do this?
To export OSM data in QGIS. I mean, OSM Downloader is a plugin. I didn't mention it. It's doing it's doing the same as QuickOSM. It's using the Overpass-API in the background. But as far as I know, everything that you can do with OSM Downloader, you can do it in QuickOSM. And QuickOSM, you can do more. You can specify your keys and values. But then as when you have your data from OSM Downloader or QuickOSM, then you can right-click on your layer and choose Export As, and then you will have your, any GIS formats, GeoPackage, shapefile, or so. Is it the question? Yeah, to export the data.
I think that's pretty much it. So there are multiple options, and you would say that maybe QuickOSM has more functionality
compared to OSM Downloader, as far as I know. Yes.
Okay, that definitely
but
makes
still,
sense.
It's another plugin. I didn't mention it, but it's still used. It's used. It's quicker indeed to use OSM Downloader because it's a nice tool where you can just draw the extent. It's quicker when you want to download all data from an extent, because you have just a button in your toolbar and you can draw the extent and that's it. But then there is less option than QuickOSM.
Alrighty. Then there is a person called Faisal in the questions, and they say that they are a beginner. Are there any good tutorials or free courses available for using OSM or about OSM?
About OSM OpenStreetMap, it's it's a very large topic about contribution, reuse data. So it really depends exactly like what is he looking for. About QuickOSM, there are quite a few video tutorials on YouTube if you start looking. And there's a few resources on the internet, I think maybe about from OT, Humanitarian OpenStreetMap team. There are like some tutorials. I'm sure about like a lot of blog, like how to reuse OpenStreetMap data. If it's about contributions, there are also, I mean, there are a lot of tutorials. I'm not sure exactly like which address, which URL exactly. But YouTube is a is a good way. And yeah, Ott, I think on the wiki from OpenStreetMap. I'm sure Ott has some and yeah.
I'm sure the OpenStreetMap wiki or the there must be some kind of documentation that's a good place to start
Yes.
for a beginner.
For contribution as well, like in OpenStreetMap.org, if you want to start editing, there is a default editor in OpenStreetMap.org. And I think we have a tutorial inside the editor, like how to add your first point or your first highway in OpenStreetMap. It's step-by-step wizard at the beginning, I think. On the main website, OpenStreetMap.org. That's how you can contribute.
All right. That is awesome. I think that is all the questions on the live chat for now. Victoria, do you have any questions?
Yeah. I know OSM has a lot of data, and I was wondering for individual, let's call them layers from Q for because I use it mostly in QGIS. What are the most important columns to have to describe a particular? Let's say you have you want to import land use or land cover data. What are the most important columns to have in your data?
Yeah, that's a good question. And unfortunately, there is not a straight answer. I'm not sure. I could go on wiki OpenStreetMap, and I think the map features page, map feature. So yeah, that's one of the key thing. Like indeed, QuickOSM is exploding every fields that you can find in your OSM file. But for the columns that you need, it really depends on what you are looking for. There is not a straight answer. Some people will just need like the geometry and then the highway and the name. And I mean, if you do some routing, you will need to know if it's one way or not. But if you do mainly just a pedestrian map, you don't need the one way. So you see, in a very simple use case, you might need or not a field. Maybe if you say like land use, so you go to the land use area, then you might have some keys which are used, like sometimes they show on the wiki like that's all the possible values, but then at the bottom you might have some link, like some interesting keys to use as well at the same time, like more detailed. It really depends about like the purpose. Is it for analysis? Is it for routing? But you can start by these main keys here. That's a lot of keys already, but you have like, it's covering, I think, a lot of use case. And I think it's already a lot amenity. Then you will have like to find like, okay, what you want to do with your data. Download some with QuickOSM on a small extent, then you will see like all possible values. I think you might have also like tag info. You might have this kind of information, tag info. openstreetmap.org. I hope so. You might have also like for some given keys, like combinaison in French, like what is used. Like you see, like a lot of buildings are tagged with source or address, house number, address, street, city. So that's related to building. So might be a way to know this kind of information. If I take another one, highway, you see it's using name like 22%, surface, source, service, one way, max speed. So yeah, that's one way to know this kind of information. Yeah, I think that's good. Was it the question, right?
Yes, that I think that gives me a lot of information
Yes,
to
yeah,
work.
that's a nice link indeed.
Alrighty, good question there. I think I don't have any more questions in the live chat. Is that everything from your side, Etienne?
No, that was cool. Yes.
Alrighty, brilliant stuff. Then it just leaves me to thank you so much for showing us all these different ways that OSM can be used and can be used and integrated with QGIS and other options. So I'm really pleased for that, and I think QuickOSM really, I mean, I use it all the time, and I've really been enjoying those presets. So I want to encourage everyone who is watching to go and contribute to what they would need for a preset. I loved your idea, Etienne, of the bicycles and bicycle routes and bicycle parkings, etc. I think that's fantastic. I just find that it's, for someone who is maybe beginner or less experienced in QGIS, or someone who's just looking for something that's, quick. I think that's everyone's want in this world, is for everything to be quick. So I think, you can just click on one button, say load, and there the data is. So I really encourage everybody to go and make contributions as to what you think the preset should be. I'm really loving the urban one.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's the one from Tim, actually. It's the style from consultant that he made for InnaSafe a few years ago. But yeah, because we are all doing the same kind of like, we are all downloading mainly like highway, like streets, and starting everyone like their own style in QGIS. So like the best would be to centralize QGIS styles. Like we are all like downloading streets with QuickOSM, and then the first step is to start a style, like showing streets, residential streets or motorways. So it would be nice indeed to have like a common style for common objects from OSM, so we can all like save time.
Yes, absolutely. I 100% agree. Alrighty, just for the last couple of things in our chat, Raymond says thank you. There's quite a lot of clapping going on, and thank you very much. So I'm going to round us off there. Thank you, Etienne, for joining us and showing us the way that we can really integrate OSM data. I think that really is fantastic. Oh, wait, I can put my camera on too, then we can all see each other. Alrighty, so thank you so much, really, again, for coming and showing us your presentation and just giving us pointers as to where to go. Sometimes it's a bit overwhelming with all the different apps and things that are available. It's great to just be sort of pointed in the right direction. So thank you for that.
Trying.
Then, there's one last question that's just come in. You can see me squinting at the screen here. The question is again from Raj Kumar. How can I do parcel editing in QGIS? Don't know if that's a bit out of scope. Does OSM help with parcel editing in any way?
Parcel, like data coming from OpenStreetMap, or like is it?
I don't know. If Raj could expand on your question a little bit, that would be great. And I do want to sort of encourage you, if you do have questions about QGIS in general, do have a look at the QGIS community Telegram channel. All of the, I call them QGIS senseis, are there and are able to really help you out with that. So they, look at Victoria laughing, there are senseis. They are able to help you there, and a lot of people use different tools in different ways. So if you have a look at the QGIS Open Day wiki, there's actually a link that you can click to take you through to the actual Telegram group. And please feel free to ask questions there. If you don't have Telegram, there's also the emailing lists, the QGIS user list. Pop an email to the list, and if people are able to answer your questions, if you are a beginner, or if you want to know about, say, parcel editing specifically, pop an email out and the whole community will be able to help you in that way. So yeah, that's just a little bit of background. Please remember that at the end of the day today, at 5 o'clock my time, so in 2 hours, I think, there's going to be a really cool open session where Hans van der Kwast, as well as Klaus Carlson, will be showing us some really amazing 3D mapping that we can do in QGIS. You've probably seen the QGIS maps that they made on the 30-day map challenge. So it's very exciting. They're some of my favorite content creators for QGIS. So definitely tune into that one. And thank you so much to Etienne, and thank you to Victoria. And I'm going to bring this session to a close. Thank you both.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.